everything you need to know about the different types of Floyd Rose tremolo. First of all, I want to clarify that we must take into account the meaning of buying a guitar with a floating bridge. I can guarantee failure if we go to a shop without a clear idea of what we want, and we fancy a nice cheap guitar with a floating bridge, and then the bridge only causes problems. In the end, we may have to lock the bridge in order to use the guitar. Another mistake would be to put a $400 Floyd Rose on a cheap guitar, since the quality of the guitar influences how well the Floyd Rose works. Another issue is how we'll use that bridge, because for light use, a vintage tremolo can work, and will save a lot of money and a lot of headaches when adjusting a floating bridge. If we're not going to use the guitar's tremolo, we'll be interested in a guitar with a fixed bridge. This type of bridge offers tuning stability and convenience when stringing. If we don't use the tremolo but the guitar we want isn't made with a fixed bridge, it's fine, we buy it with a semi-floating vintage bridge and that's it. It could also be the case that our ignorance leads us to buy a guitar with a floating bridge, with no intention of using the tremolo, simply because we saw the guitar with that pile of iron on the bridge and thought it was better than a simpler one. This would be a major mistake. It's also worth knowing that stringing a guitar with floating bridge isn't very comfortable. We have to follow many steps to get everything just right, which I won't go into so I can continue with this video. From what I just said, you can get an idea. Once we realize the inconvenience of a floating bridge, and knowing that good floating bridges are considerably more expensive than other types of bridges, we need one of these for the expressiveness of our music, the safe bet is to buy a guitar with an original Floyd Rose, but be prepared for that. I'm not talking about Floyd Rose style bridges or Floyd Rose special, or any other word that goes with Floyd Rose. We have to make sure it's Floyd Rose original, because this brand authorizes other brands to use its patent. The bridge may look the same, but to compete on price with the original brand, its construction materials may not be the same as the original. These bridges aren't exactly bad, but they're not like the original ones, which last practically a lifetime in reliability. Floyd Rose is the creator of one of the most effective vibrato systems, thanks to its double locking method developed in the late 1970s by the American musician and engineer Floyd D. Rose. In traditional tremolo systems, friction occurs in the nut and string guides of some guitars such as Fender models. To solve the problem, Rose would develop the locking nut, to bypass all these friction problems. To round out those friction problems, he did the same at the other end of the string, locking the string in the saddle. All this together with high-performance materials gave rise to a tremolo system that, well adjusted, is infallible. For the rest, it would basically be a bridge very similar to the traditional ones in terms of functionality, having the typical springs on the back of the guitar and a lever that activates the bridge both towards bass and treble, or forwards and backwards. Obviously, this type of bridge must have different integrated systems to be able to modify its adjustments, such as the screws that lock the string in the saddle. It also includes fine tuners to slightly adjust the tuning. This way, the string section will be completely locked and perfectly in tune. The intonation of the guitar would be modified by means of the hexagonal screws that hold the saddles. After loosening the screw, the saddle can be moved forward and backward. All of these components ultimately make up a Floyd Rose. But although the system was absolutely efficient, promotion is vital for a brand that needs to expand. But it didn't take long for the manufacturer's opportunity to arrive, after the Floyd Rose was adopted by Eddie Van Halen in the early 1980s. One of the first guitarists to explore the musical possibilities of the bridge developed by Roses. Continuing the trend other guitarists like Joe Satriani or Steve Vai in the use of this vibrato system. The system reaching such a recognized popularity that these types of bridges are currently referred to in a general way regardless of the manufacturer or producer, simply as Floyd Rose. The brand does not develop a single type of bridge, there are different ranges with different qualities. So be careful with this because not all Floyd Roses are the same. If we start with the oldest and most popular model, we have the Floyd Rose Original. The model most used by professionals, given its high reliability. This series is developed in Germany with top-quality steel parts, manufactured with the highest precision, under the most demanding specifications. For something, this model costs around $400 if we had to buy it loose. Although if we want to spend more money, we will not have problems. But we already know that when it comes to luxury and super materials, there are no limits. Like the titanium Floyd Rose, which probably costs more than a cheap Gibson. I don't know how I managed to fit the word Gibson and the word cheap into the same sentence. Okay, in the original series, we have a reissue of the first Floyd Rose original that didn't have fine tuners. Therefore, this type of bridge is used on guitars with classical nuts, preferably made of sliding materials such as graphite, to offer greater tuning stability. The Floyd Rose 1000 series would be a version built with the same design and materials as the original, but manufactured in South Korea to reduce production costs. The 1500 series tremolo is the improved version of the 1000 series tremolo. It is basically identical to the 1000 series, but with stainless steel screws and a pressure-fit tremolo arm. Although like the 1000 series, the 1500 series is only available to guitar makers and is not available for sale in the aftermarket. The Floyd Rose Special is also made in Korea, but this model uses substitute materials in its manufacture, such as zinc alloys, instead of the use of steel and brass of the superior models, notoriously reducing the manufacturing cost. But this can affect the reliability and quality of the tremolo system. Ultimately, what's special about the Floyd Rose Special is that it's the lowest-end type of Floyd Rose tremolo bridge. In the Pro series, we find other types of high-quality Floyd Rose, but without further details to add, since Pro does not mean better, if not different. For example, the Floyd Rose Pro Tremolo System is made in Germany just like the original, but its design, as can be seen in the image, is different, since it has a more compact appearance. However, the difference from the original model is that the Pro Tremolo's string spacing is a bit narrower, having a measurement of 0.40 inch instead of the 0.42 inch spacing of the original model. We can also opt for the Floyd Rose 1000 Series Pro, with a similar appearance to the Pro Tremolo, but with identical string spacing to the FR original. It also has a slightly cheaper price compared to the Pro Tremolo due to its Korean manufacture, although it is still a fairly expensive bridge. One of the problems we face when installing a Floyd Rose bridge on our guitar is having to lower the wood of the guitar body to obtain enough space to house the system. To avoid problems, Floyd Rose has designed the FRX Tremolo with a very simple installation to perform. And although the price of this type of Floyd Rose is quite high, we must take into account the savings that installing a standard Floyd Rose can bring, in a Les Paul guitar model for example. Floyd Rose has also developed a classic Stratocaster-style semi-floating tremolo system, but continues the brand's tradition of creating high-end products, developed with the most advanced technological techniques, to offer the maximum performance of this type of bridge. The tremolo plate rotates on a sturdy cylindrical rail instead of classic pivots, also mounting saddles with bearings to offer the least possible friction. This type of bridge must be accompanied by certain qualities in the guitar itself, so that it can offer its maximum performance. Because if our guitar has a poor quality nut, it will ruin the excellent qualities of the tremolo. So the most advisable thing is to have a nut made of super slippery materials, such as those developed by the Graphtec brand. In addition, our guitar must have locking tuners so that the string has no chance of slipping when the strings are loosened by the tremolo. String guides are another point of friction to take into account, and the use of Graphtec guides, or those with rollers, is advisable. An accessory that may be interesting for our Floyd Rose are its hollow point intonation systems. This system locks the string as the traditional system would, but we can also move the saddles mechanically for greater precision when adjusting the intonation of the guitar. In addition, this system will provide our tremolo with a more refined and robust aesthetic. Another interesting Floyd Rose accessory to know about is the EVH D-Tuna device for quickly lowering the tuning of the 6th string a whole tone. Floyd Rose currently has its own line of electric guitars. In Del Mar series we find the highest range manufactured in California, assembled with Floyd Rose original. In the International series we find the mid-range with Floyd Rose 1000 series Tremolo System. And in the Discovery series we would have the lowest end models, mounted with a Floyd Rose special Tremolo System. Floyd Rose managed to develop one of the most revolutionary innovations, including his design among the 10 most important innovations associated with the guitar, according to the prestigious magazine Guitar World.